Hey, what's going on? Doc Danny here with the PT Entrepreneur Podcast. And today we're talking about why you're not getting as many referrals as you could or maybe should, and what you can do about it. One really kind of very simple, effective thing that you can start to do to get more people coming your way. This comes off of a restaurant that I just went and tried out with my family, an interaction that we have with this new restaurant, and really just sort of looking at basically any business I go into through the lens of, you know, how well are they doing in different things, as far as how likely I am to refer people to these different businesses. And like many of you, you know, you probably try to only refer people to services and for products and things like that if you honestly think that they're good, right? You lose trust with people if you just say everything's awesome, and if you're a trustworthy person, you usually take that pretty seriously. You don't want to lose that status that you have in your community with your friends and family. Well, there's a Italian restaurant that opened in our neighborhood that's like walking distance. So we walked there last night. My family had dinner there, and I really wanted this place to be good because it's like a 10-minute walk from my house. And when, you know, we went in and I'm pretty lenient when it comes to new businesses in general, just because there's a lot of stuff to work through, right? I was a waiter for many years, so was my wife. So I'm also like, you got to be a pretty horrific waiter or waitress for me to not just, you know, think that you did a good job. And, you know, it was okay. Let's just put it that way. This place was okay. Like, the food wasn't great. It was real clunky. The wait staff, I think, just kind of just still figuring stuff out. And, you know, I thought to myself, like, I'm not going to badmouth this place. Like, I'm not going to tell people specifically not to go there, but I'm definitely not going to tell people to go there. And, you know, earlier in the day, ironically, my son and I were grabbing lunch, and we went to this place called Dave's Hot Chicken, I think it was called. My son wanted me to go there because we were out running some errands, and he was like, "Oh, I've been wanting to try this place." So we went, and this place was awesome. It was so good. Like, it was like a 9 out of 10. And I didn't think it was going to be that good. It was really good. And we just had that for lunch, and then we go to this Italian restaurant, and it's just not very great. So maybe that made it worse. But, you know, it makes me think of the NPS score, so the Net Promoter Score, which is one question on a scale of 0 to 10. How likely are you to refer a friend or family member for this product or service, right? That is the one question. And it's highly predictive of how likely somebody is going to be to refer people to your business. And in this scenario, there's two places I went to, and I 100% would recommend go try out Dave's Hot Chicken, I think is what it's called, if you like chicken sandwiches and fries. And I would not recommend going to this Italian restaurant by my house. And it's because of two things. Number one, you have your client experience, your customer experience. So how friendly are you? How, you know, punctual are you? How well do you help people understand the next steps and things? You know, how clean is the facility? All kinds of things that make you feel like, you know, the experience that you're having is really good. So we go to this Dave's Hot Chicken place. The lady at the front we're ordering, she was awesome. She's like, here's a little secret hack. Put a little honey on it when it's hot. It's amazing. Like, you can definitely grab a honey packet. You know, she came and checked on us like while we were sitting there. It was a tiny little place. And the experience was great. It was clean. It was like better than I expected it to be. You know, honestly, we go to this Italian restaurant, and it's like kind of clunky. There's no like person there to seat you. You know, we had made a reservation, and they didn't even have it. You know, it was just like, it was kind of clunky. It wasn't, you know, kind of well put together in terms of the customer experience, right? It looked fine enough in there. For what it cost, it was like pretty expensive. Like, I would have expected it to be a little bit nicer, and for the wait staff to be better trained, you know, on the menu and everything else that they have. So, you know, like, well, obviously one is a little fast food place, and the other one is a sit down restaurant. So they're not the same comparison, but the experience I had at this chain restaurant was way better than this little local Italian place. So, you know, I think that, like, all right, cool. So the customer experience wasn't that great. Is the food awesome, right? Because I'll put up with a terrible customer experience for fantastic food. Like there's a guy that had this Greek spot in our neighborhood. That's maybe like, I don't know, a short drive from my house. And he was an old Greek man, and he was so difficult to deal with. Like he would just yell at people. It would take a long time, but his food was amazing, right? So I would go back because he killed it on the actual like product itself, right? So with this Italian restaurant, the product was not good. Like it wasn't good. It was like just, I would say average, whatever food. So this is inside the mind of a consumer for this business, right? But you'll never go probably to this restaurant in my neighborhood. That's not the point. The point is this: you have to think of yourself through the lens of your consumers, and try to understand what is it that you're missing that is either going to detract from your customer experience or from your product or service. That's the whole game. I mean, aside from like scaling past yourself, which is obviously a lot of systems and leadership, but like early on, that's it. It's your customer experience and your outcomes. For us, it's outcomes as clinicians. So are you an average clinician? Are you maybe not as good as you should be to go out of network and charge people, cash for what you're doing? That's, you got to be honest with yourself about that. Maybe you are, and maybe your outcomes are something that you really need to address before you go and step out on your own. For a lot of people, that's not the case. They're fantastic. They've been in the profession for quite some time. They get great outcomes. They feel very confident dealing with anything that comes through their doors. And what they might, lack is essentially their client experience. So if you're in a little subleased office in a gym, it doesn't look great. It's loud. It's unpredictable in comparison to a standalone space. It's cheap, so it allows you to get your foot in the door. I've been there, and so if you have a poor customer experience as far as your facility is concerned, then you have to make up for it with things like punctuality, individualization, attention to detail with the people that are coming in to see you, really being laser focused on them, really following up with them in a quick manner, communication, making sure that it's as fast as you possibly can, getting those insane outcomes that the people were not able to get other places because you're just better at what you do. So once that happens and you jump up to a standalone space, right? And now all of a sudden you can improve your client experience, your customer experience, they'll match up. And I can tell you, I noticed this firsthand whenever we went from a sublease space to a standalone space. We saw this massive jump in referrals that happened in our facility. And it wasn't expected because we'd actually moved to a different part of the city. And we actually thought we would take a step back for a few months as we sort of rebuilt our reputation in that area. But what we saw was a huge jump in referrals. I talked to a few patients about this, and they were like, yeah, like we didn't really feel comfortable sending you people to the little gym area that you were at because it's sort of, it's loud and dirty and whatever else. But now you get this like great standalone space. I'll definitely refer more people because it's their status, it's their reputation. They're not going to tarnish their reputation just for your business. Like that's something that they can't buy. That's something they have to earn. So you got to look at your business through this lens. Which of these two areas are you, are you missing the mark on? And you need to get obsessive over improving these areas, these two different things, whether it's your outcomes in your service or your customer experience, because you have to have both in order for people to give you a high NPS score. So a high NPS score would be a 9 or a 10. We want a 9 or a 10, meaning they're highly likely to refer somebody our way. Most businesses are not a 9 or a 10. Most clinics are not a 9 or a 10. Most are going to be somewhere between probably like a 6 and an 8. And that is just like limbo. That's purgatory for your business. You're not bad, you're not good. Like you're not so bad that people are going to tell folks not to go to your business. You're not so good, they're going to tell people to go to your business. And if you can improve to the point where you're going to be a 9 or a 10, they're going to have people spewing their opinions of how awesome you are to everybody that they know that has an injury, which is probably a lot of people. So you've got to double down and refocus on your business in these two areas and be honest with yourself about where you're missing the mark. One thing you can do that's a great exercise is have a friend or a family member that your clinic doesn't know. Just come in and be a patient in your business, come in for an eval, like mystery shop your own clinic and get some direct feedback from somebody. Just be like, please, I really want you to be honest about this process. We've done this. We've had this done for, people in our mastermind. It's a great exercise. But at the end of the day, a lot of businesses are frankly they're mediocre when it comes to these two aspects. And if you want to be mediocre, you're going to put yourself in a pretty dangerous place to have a business that's around for a long time. And if you commit to excellence, right? If you commit to small changes over time that are going to improve your business, you're going to be around for decades. Not only be around for decades, but you're not going to have to worry about marketing. You're not going to have to worry about hiring. You're not going to have to worry about tech changes and algorithms and things like that. Are you going to be able to run ads and effectively and get people in the door? You're going to have this stable base of referrals from people that have worked with you that's going to be enough to have a business thrive for a very, very long time. And that is a really good place to be, but it doesn't come by accident. It requires a lot of hard work and consistency over a long period of time. And you borderline need to be obsessive over your outcomes and your experience. If you do those two things, your business is going to crush it in 2026. You just got to be honest with yourself about where you need to improve and the things that you need to really work on so that you can take your business to the next level.